the best thing to do when you're trying to get your commanders buy-in into this program is to get as far ahead of it as you can.
You're listening to the 7 Echo Podcast, brought to you by 7 Eagle Group, the place where we highlight inspiring and interesting United States military veterans who have found a successful civilian career after trading in their uniforms.
All right. Hey, guys. Jordy from 7 Eagle Group. I am so fired up tonight to be chatting with Danny Etheredge. Just an incredible guy who you're going to meet in a second. 24 years in the Air Force as E8 Senior Master Sergeant. He was a Squadron Superintendent and a full-time instructor in career intel. Very impressive guy, and just completed a SkillBridge himself. With Vets 2 PM, an incredible group run by Kathy Nicklat, a good friend of mine, and they do an awesome job. And from there, I believe you were placed with a host company called Apex Systems and did a lot of cyber and other training. And then from there, went on to do advanced cyber training with Intellectual Point. Became one of their top students, because I was just talking to John from Intellectual Point, and they were extremely impressed with you. But the reason I wanted to, well, first of all, Danny, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to chat.
Absolutely. I definitely appreciate it. I appreciate the invite, and I really hope that we can maybe teach some folks about the SkillBridge program and how to effectively use it, and how to transition out of the service.
Yeah. The reason I connected with you is because I was just watching your activity on LinkedIn, and I'm like, man, who is this guy who's giving all this great advice to the service members? He knows so much about SkillBridge, and I know it just impressed me that I felt like, wow, I want to really I want to be able to share your advice and your suggestions with others, because I think other people can really learn from them. Before we jump into that, do you mind talking a little bit about your military experience? What was your drive to serve, and what were some of the things you got out of being in service?
Sure. So like so many people before me, right? You join because you're trying to figure out how to get some free school. So I did 1 year of school at South Carolina State University, and decided, you know what? I see the debt starting to pile up with the student loans, starting to have maybe a little bit too much fun. Let me go in the Air Force. I'll knock out school in the first 4 years. I'll separate after that, and then we'll figure out life after that. But enjoyed the Air Force during my first 4 years in. Got to go to Korea, where we really had some fun, real family atmosphere. And then it's like, well, you know what? I can go ahead and re-enlist, and then started enjoying the camaraderie of the Air Force, and really started becoming a full airman after that first re-enlistment, right? So I've enjoyed it. I've learned a ton. Like you mentioned before, I'm career intel as a 1 in 4 Bravo at first, and then become a 1 in 4 Alpha network cyber guy doing intel stuff. So it's been great. I've met a ton of people. I have a ton of mentors that came out of it, a bunch of friends, brothers, sisters. It's just been really great. But now it's time to move on after 24 years.
How do you feel that time in the military molded you as a person and made you the type of guy you are today?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I would say it made me more responsible, right? So it taught me first, be on time, value other people's time, and then really try to take care of people. One of the things I learned in the military was we're all just kind of trying to live our best life as best we can, right? And sometimes those things cause conflict. You living your best life might interfere with me living mine, and that's okay. But just understand that everybody's just trying to live their best life out here. Don't take a whole lot of this personally, even when people disagree with you, and really just try to help people out as much as you can. So I enjoy doing that. If you talk to the people that I worked with and served with in the military, they'll tell you that just mentorship and trying to help people out just comes naturally. So that has not changed as I retired. I enjoy doing that
Yeah,
stuff, and I enjoy doing it on the SkillBridge page.
well, I could tell that. That's what attracted me to you is I was like, man, this guy's got a big heart, man. Why he's writing these long emails to people and these posts and giving this advice and saying you're there for them to help them. And so I love that. And I appreciate what you're doing for the community and how you're giving it back to your fellow brothers and sisters coming behind you. Talk about SkillBridge now. This is an amazing program. I know it's got its challenges or flaws. That's not the right word. It might have its challenges for some people. They fully don't understand what to do, how to market themselves, how to get the job. Talk a little bit about what you think are some of the, sort of the tips or suggestions that somebody should do who's considering going through SkillBridge. Okay,
well, so first, understanding what SkillBridge is, right? So it's a transition program that DoD wide, so all the services are allowed to use it. I think the Coast Guard actually just got
approved, last week
to use as well. So it offers at the commander's discretion. That's an important piece of it. At the commander's discretion, it offers the service member up to 180 days during their transition to intern or apprentice or get some employee skills training with a civilian company, just to kind of ease that transition burden. Frankly, I think this is, as far as DoD programs, I think this is probably the best one since they started paying for college. We talk all the issues about veterans after transition, not really transitioning well, sometimes being lost and not really having any direction. And that's led to a lot of other veteran problems, homelessness, and those other type things, right? So one of the things we don't do is take care of the veteran during that transition, and this SkillBridge is meant to do that. And I think that's a great thing. But again, it's at the commander's discretion. And what you want to do is just kind of learn how to navigate all of the rules and regulations that SkillBridge puts there that the commanders might implement in order to effectively transition the right way with the company that you're looking for. So there's an entire DoD SkillBridge page out there with a lot of information, but then there's an entire network of people that are just wishing to help you. So I think it's great, and like you mentioned, right? So I'm there for any questions that anybody has.
Well, I thought you had some brilliant advice you gave people the other day, which was put yourself in the commander's shoes and anticipate the concerns that might come up. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So as a senior NCO, I've been on the other side of all those manning discussions, right? We never have enough people to do the mission, and there's always more and more mission coming up. So understanding that, you have to know that kind of going in to see the commander. Hey, I know what that commander's primary goal is. It's to do the mission that they've been tasked with doing, and they need people to do that. And they normally cannot afford to just lose you for 180 days, right? We talk about service members many times. We talk about it amongst ourselves, how we're just a number. Well, not really. You're a little bit more than that. You are a lot more than that when it comes to trying to meet that mission, right? So the best thing to do when you're trying to get your commander's buy-in into this program is to get as far ahead of it as you can. Personally, I started when I knew I was going to retire. I made the decision and I immediately started putting in a plan that was about 15 months out.
Wow.
Yeah, about 15 months out.
Yeah.
And I put that entire plan together with all the dates. Hey, these are the days I'm going to use for SkillBridge. These are the dates I'm going to use for my permissive TDY for house hunting. These are going to be the dates I'm using just for personal leave. Backed all of that information all the way up and said, okay, that means my retirement ceremony is going to happen at this time. Okay, if I need to get approval for all of that time missed from my retirement ceremony to my actual retirement date, I need to figure out how the mission can get done without me being there. So I put in a plan to figure out, okay, with my commander's approval, we're going to go back to the personnel center and say, hey, this is our plan. I am going to retire. However, this squadron needs a squadron superintendent. So can we, even though I don't have a retirement date, and I don't have an approved retirement date, can we back some of that up in order to get a replacement here? Give us enough time to do some interviews with people, give that person enough time to PCS, because we don't want them to PCS in 2 weeks. We want to give them time to do it right. And then once they're here, give me time to train them up and then have them fully in the seat for at least a short while before my retirement day.
Yeah.
My ceremony.
Yeah. That's brilliant. I love how super organized you were with that. Like you really thought it through and answered the objections that you knew were going to come up. And not only that, but solved them, and put that plan together. And
but here's the deal. I understand that not everybody's in a position to do that. Right. So if you're in a small unit or whatever the case may be, you may not be in a position to go all the way to the personnel center and get a replacement there. Again, nobody has enough manning, which means whatever losing unit your replacement's coming from, they don't have that manning that they can lose that body, right? So I understand that. Do all of the legwork and meet all of the objectives of accomplishing that mission. Try to do that for the commander, but then understand that there may be difficulties in them saying yes. There may not be. But as long as you've done all of the legwork, you've done everything you can. If you can show that to most commanders who understand the program, they will appreciate everything that you've done to mitigate that mission loss. And they will try to work with you. Maybe you can't get 6 months, maybe you can get 2 weeks. Whatever is better than nothing. Something is better.
Exactly. We just had a guy here at 7 Eagle. He could only get 3 months. And the client was originally like, oh, I thought we'd get 6 months out of the internship. And sure enough, they hired him. Because they saw him in action. They didn't, it ended up being a great result for him, regardless of the amount of time. So talk about, I know you, your career path, how did you know you wanted to go down the cyber and tech route? And, what inspired that to make that your next chapter?
Well, so my recruiter was a very smart person and said, hey, the best way to get any job you want in the Air Force is to go in open general. Being facetious, because that is absolutely the worst advice you get. So I went in open general, hoping to get computer operations, what would be a 3 Delta, I think, today. But it's just working in the computer networking field, something along those lines. That did not happen. They gave me Intel instead. I was like, oh, okay, we'll figure out whatever this Intel thing is about, right? But so as far back as then, I wanted to get into IT or cyber.
You knew it all along, yeah.
So I knew it already. So the opportunity actually came up for our career field to transition into a cyber career, an offshoot of our career field that's going the cyber realm. So I had the opportunity to do that back in 2013 is when I graduated from the Joint Cyber Analysis course down in Corey Station. And I was able to do cyber intel after that. Of course, until you become a senior NCO and then you're a manager at that point.
And you just rolled through the training, the online and the remote classes that you took. Talk about how did you get through that so successfully?
Like I said, I've enjoyed it. I've been doing the training for these things for a little while, even if I haven't had a ton of hands-on experience. So I've always wanted to do it. My degree, which is just about closed out now, one more course, is in computer networks and cybersecurity. So I've known for a long time I wanted to be in this field. So going through those classes, I'd seen some of the material before. It wasn't the first time I had done boot camps. It's what got me through the certifications, but the material itself wasn't brand new, but that wasn't the case for many of the other people in the class. It was their first time ever seeing any of this, but 95% of us were still able to get through everything.
Let's talk now about interviewing skill, because I know you are incredibly impressive in an interview setting. What tips would you have? What suggestions would you have for other service members? Maybe this is their first civilian type interview they're going on for their SkillBridge position, or even if they're coming out as a veteran. What are some of the top things you'd like to convey to them to take in mind?
Number one, be yourself. if you can't be yourself in the interview because you're worried about how they're going to perceive you, then how are you going to be yourself whenever you're working for that company? You know, you don't want to be hiding your true self at all times as you're trying to work and get that done. You're not going to enjoy that. So be yourself in the interview, and if they like you and you have that rapport, then that's going to make for a better work environment. All right, so that's the first thing. Second, prepare. Know what you're being interviewed for. There's YouTube University, right? There's a lot of information out there. Regardless of the career or the job that you're being interviewed for, there's a ton of information out there saying, okay, these are the types of interview questions. Be prepared for the tell me about yourself question as much as you can. So try to get that practice. Work with your friends, your coworkers, mentors, whoever it is. Try to get that practice. So fully understand have an expectation for how you think the interview is going to go. So you prep yourself that way. But again, I'd say go back to just being yourself, and don't try to get the answer you think they want. Give your answer, right? Whatever that answer is, give your answer. And if you're wrong, it's okay to say, you know what, I don't have the answer to that. Maybe I can look that up and bring that back to you at a later time. I had an interview a couple months back for a position that I knew was going sideways. We were just chatting about everything. So between me and the interviewer, we were fine, but I couldn't answer some of the questions for the life of me in that interview. So probably about halfway through, I realized that this was not going. He was disappointed in the lack of knowledge I had. So I said, all right, let me just ask him, how could I have been better for this interview? And he was up front. He appreciated me asking that question. He was like, oh, well, you want to learn a little bit more about these commands, because he was asking me Cisco related router questions, which I thought I knew, but he was much more in depth than my knowledge. So he was like, well, for our position, even though it wasn't in the job ad, he said we would have wanted you to know a little bit more about these router questions. So okay, I can take that feedback back home and do a little bit more study in that setting. So don't be afraid to ask those questions and say, you know what, I realized I didn't have those answers, and maybe I can be better. So this person is interviewing you. Get some tips from the interviewer. Ask them how you could be better. That's what I did.
That's great, because you'll never get better if you don't ask. You'll make the same mistake the next time. So that's great. What I know on the personal front, I know you're heading out to the Southeast very soon to relocate. It's really exciting. What are some of the things you like to do when you're not working?
Well, wife and 3 kids. So obviously the family time is always great. My son's about to graduate from high school here in about 4 months. During Memorial Day weekend, he graduates. So it's always a fun time with them. The other 2 youngest are both girls. So I told my son he's leaving me in the house with women, and he just kind of laughs at me. So
you must love being able to spend so much time with them now that you had 24 years.
Oh, absolutely. So another big thing that people learn about me is that I'm a huge Raiders fan. The Las Vegas Raiders made the playoffs this year, so very
it's in your heart. That's great, man. That's awesome.
I plan to use the retirement years. I mean, I'm going to go to work obviously and do that, but I just want to pick up some hobbies. I want to learn woodworking. I want to learn I don't know, pick something. I want to learn how to make epoxy tables, whatever it is. I just want to pick up some hobbies.
Explore, have fun. Hey, you deserve it, man. Hey, Danny, I can't thank you enough, man. And I can't wait to see where you are going to end up and the career you're going to have in this second act, because I think you're going to absolutely tear it up. It's going to be exciting to watch how far you go. And you're an impressive guy. And I thank you for all of your support of service members and military veterans. I know that means a lot to me and to everyone else to have people like
one point real quick.
Yeah, please.
It was in the post that I put in there, but it's something I want to make sure that everybody kind of understands. When it comes to SkillBridge, you can do everything right in your preparation, and your commander, for whatever reason, may still say no.
Yeah.
Don't let that stop your transition plan. There's a
Right.
lot of resources out there. There's a ton you can do. You can take the same training that I just took through SkillBridge without doing a SkillBridge. There's resources to pay for training, regardless of the field that you're trying to go into. Seek out the resources. And if you are at the point where you just don't know where to look next, raise your hand and say, hey, somebody help me. There's people who will help you. So,
100%.
Don't just let.
Good ending. Good point.
Everything.
I like that. Thank you. Because I know a lot of people want to do SkillBridge, even if their command won't let them. Maybe they just can't find a match, and their time runs out on them. For any number of reasons. So, but thank you for sharing your story and all this great advice. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the invitation.